welcome to the Senior Hour. Good afternoon. And the Senior Hour is sponsored by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center, IMAC Med Spa, and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Thomas Polucki.
on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guest this morning is Cardon Ellis from Unipest Control.
Yep, that's right.
Talking about bugs.
Oh, anything and everything you wanted.
Things that fly, things that crawl. Ants. How do you get rid of those darn things?
Oh, you know what's crazy? Is I've been doing that all week. It's nuts. Got to spray the trees and the bushes. You got to get on your hands and knees and crawl through your backyard. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be a really kind of funny thing. Bummer people can't see your face when I told you you had to get on your hands and knees. That was pretty funny. Oh, yeah, ants. Is that what you're dealing with lately? Ants?
Yes.
Okay. Where you getting them, in your kitchen?
Yeah, right. I have a garden window in front of my sink, and that's where they're coming in.
Oh.
And I had the sprayer out. He's been out 3 different times. He's been in the house and put some kind of gel.
Yeah.
And there's dead ants all over those little splotches of gel. But there are still a few of them crawling around, and I'm assuming they'll go to that gel sooner or later.
You know, okay, so first off, it depends on the type of gel. There's all kinds of stuff that you can buy in stores. Sometimes I'm not a huge fan of the gels and the baits. They do work over a long period of time, but at the end of the day, you have to attract them into an area before you can bait them out of that area, and I don't like doing that. Santa Clarita is kind of it's an interesting place, okay?
Really?
There's a ton of clay in the soil. If you actually just grab a handful of dirt from your front yard or your backyard and you squeeze it together, you'll notice that it actually kind of maintains your handprint. Okay, if you grab a big chunk of clay and you squeeze it, we don't have some like super great topsoil here. I mean, there's a reason why we don't farm wheat in the high deserts of Southern California, right? There's a lot of clay in the soil here, and what that does is it makes it so that a lot of these burrowing insects that create colonies underground can survive super effectively. So what I like doing, it's actually kind of like a sci-fi movie. Did you like sci-fi movies?
Yes. It depends. Some I do and some I don't.
Okay, cool. Sci-fi movies, you ever notice how there's always like in Star Wars, as long as they got the bombs in the exhaust vent, or in that one movie where they had to go to the alien planet, as long as they got the queen, then the rest of the aliens died with them. You know, there's always that kind of 3-2-1 knockout punch. Well, the 3-2-1 knockout punch with ants is you got to find the colony and then destroy the actual ant colony itself. And then all of the tentacles of that colony that are spreading into your house, getting through your, like you say, your garden windows, coming through the seismic cracks underneath the foundation of the home, coming around your water pipes, electrical conduits, setting up little nests in your plugs. Once you actually get that central colony, all of the little tentacles that spread in your house, they're gone.
Well, see, I have just ants right on the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's the only place I have them. There's no other place in the house.
Oh, then you got to tell your pest control guy he's got to get on his hands and knees, and he's got to go find all of those colonies out there at the base of the trees.
I'm going to have to call him back again, which will be the 3rd time.
Cardon, didn't you say last time that we're dealing with a super colony that stretches from Mexico to Canada?
Oh, yeah. It's nuts.
So how are you going to wipe that out?
No, you can't. But you can keep the pests off of your property.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't care if they're bothering your neighbors, let's face it. You know what I'm saying? But you can
just
keep them off
throw
your
the
property.
bait over the wall.
Oh, yeah. It's not just ants either. I mean, lately everything's been going nuts. Termites have been going nuts. Powder post beetles. Mosquitos. We're still doing mosquitoes.
Yeah. So how do you feel about dunks? You like dunks? You know what dunk is?
What's a
dunk?
Tonka trucks?
No, dunk. D-U-N-K, like Dunkin' Donuts, but now it's just Dunkin'. But dunk is like an enzyme. It's not. It shouldn't be toxic. It's just an enzyme, but it wipes out mosquitoes. Like they can't deal with it. So
Interesting. So I'd have to see what the enzyme is because there's all kinds of common names and trade names
yeah,
that are given to different products.
sure.
And you don't know exactly what the active ingredient is. However, there's some really interesting natural solutions for things. Did you see the news about the genetically modified mosquitoes they were releasing to try and go after the others? Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it totally is.
Like, did we not learn
exactly.
from the 1980s that doesn't work and they always mutate?
Every time I see the news, I'm like, this is how sci-fi movies start.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
we are living it. Have you not seen Alien? Have you not seen
the genetically modified crows that are pecking out the eyeballs of innocent bystanders? It's pretty crazy.
It's bad. It's so bad. So okay, we're dealing with a wet year. It's gonna stay wet probably for a year.
It's awesome.
And we're in a semi-arid situation, so the bugs are just going nuts.
Yeah, they're going crazy.
And the problem is we don't get the hard freeze that's gonna knock them down so much. At least at this elevation. People who live up in the hills might have better luck with that. But we've got year-round bug season. Like, it's not cold enough to knock these guys out.
Yeah, we don't really have a chill. We don't have what's called a frost line.
Yeah,
is what you're referring to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's good for me, bad for you.
Well, every once in a while, I'll wake up and there's ice on the grass, which is frost.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen very
No, it's
often.
got to get into the ground.
You should write your family in England and tell them how tough you have it. That's pretty hard.
Unfortunately, I have no family left. I have one cousin.
Well, you could annoy somebody over there. Just pick a pen pal. Send it to your old address. Like whoever the new owner is, just send them a picture.
2 Charmouth Road, Welling, Kent.
Yeah, rock
There
on.
you go.
I'm sure the Welling Kents will appreciate it.
It's the county of Kent.
Oh, okay, cool.
City of Welling.
I know Clark.
Yeah. So anyway, the mosquitoes are going nuts. I'd be curious to see what that enzyme is.
Yeah.
We do have these buckets that are super cool that have come out. A new technology we're using to get rid of mosquitoes now is we fill this bucket with there's this powder and they've replicated. Sometimes it's enzymes, sometimes it's a little pesticide, sometimes it's actually an extract that makes a
pheromone?
yeasty kind of smell.
Yeah.
There are ones that use pheromones as well, and cheromones, believe it or not, which is another type of chemical. But whatever it is, mosquitoes, which are attracted to the carbon dioxide plumes in your breath, they actually follow you by following the carbon dioxide that you emit. Well, we kind of mimic that. And the mosquitoes will come in and they will go to lay their eggs. And when they lay their hind legs inside of this little bucket that's got water in it, there is an enzyme in there that they get on their legs, and when they're grooming themselves and they're cleaning themselves, it actually will sterilize them. It's ovicidal, if I remember the correct term.
Yeah.
And then also they share it amongst themselves when they're socializing underneath the sides of leaves, and on the bottom sides of leaves is actually where you'll notice that mosquitoes congregate. So when we actually use those big foggers and those sprayers, sometimes people look at them and think, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It looks like we're crop dusting or something, right?
Yeah.
When in reality, it's actually just a natural oil that's
Right.
getting rid of the mosquitoes that are on the bottom sides
Didn't
of the
used to
leaves.
be. We used to ride our bikes because the bug man would drive through the neighborhood, and that stuff was not natural.
Dude, hey, well, check this out. Bro. You want to hear something controversial? You're English. You love controversy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, totally. I would argue we should re-legalize DDT post-haste immediately, because there's so much disinformation about it. When Rachel Carson wrote The Silent Spring, okay, the book that's considered having launched the environmentalist movement, DDT was the most popular pesticide at that time, okay? And most of the harm that was caused to any individuals or areas was not because of the active ingredient itself, but because of the catalysts, the petroleum distillates, and the aerosols, and the things that it was propagated in. But one of the great things about DDT was that it only really had to be applied once a year. That's why, my dad would, as a kid, he'd remember when the dust truck would come
Yeah.
by, and they do it in the park once a year, and that's it. Now, all these soccer moms, I get so many complaints. Can you spray the parks, the football field? Yeah,
Right.
see, we got our board op right here who's waving her hand, you know?
Right.
And we're getting munched alive by fleas. We're getting munched alive by bird fleas, rat fleas, all kinds of parasitic insects that are their own vector of
Sure.
disease. And if we could actually treat these areas with DDT, we would only have to do it once a year. Whereas now, with all of these substitute pesticides, our drinking water now has never had more pesticides in it than the second worst year, which was the year before that, which was the third worst year the year before that.
Right.
As we have eliminated DDT out of the equation, we've actually, it's correlated with poorer groundwater and with more required filtration. And that's because when you're not spraying something that's strong enough to last a long time, you have to spray something that's half as strong that doesn't last as long. And then when you outlaw that, you have to spray something a quarter as strong. And at the end of the day, it all leaches. And the most polluted river in LA County, you know which one it is?
LA.
No, not the LA River.
Santa
Bouquet
Clara.
Creek.
Oh, okay.
Right here in Santa
Yeah,
Clarita.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now, I don't think it's a vector of drinking water immediately into the city, but it would leach into some kind of aquifer below it. So I'm not a water expert that studies all of those trails. However, it's something I am launching an investigation into myself because I do live in Saugus, you know. But yeah, it's
Well,
it's pretty crazy.
all the drains, you know, that you see on the street, they dump out into the wash. You know, I'm down there. I run on the wash, and there's like these huge pipes that just come out. And during regular weather, when it's not so wet, there's no activity there. But when it rains, man, those things are like fire hydrants, and they're just
Yeah. You know,
anything that goes on your lawn, anything that goes, you know, around your house winds up in that. And that's how it got
I
so
don't
bad.
remember the city in LA County, but I was reading their water report from the last year, which I think was like 2018 or something like that. These water reports take 3, 4, 5, 6 years to come out. But I just remember that in this city, I don't think it was our city, but it was another suburb of Los Angeles similar to us. They said the number one carcinogen that they were able to test in their groundwater was motor oil.
Yeah.
Just plain old motor oil.
Yep.
You know, so anyway, I would argue that if we actually brought DDT back, instead of just allowing its use in whatever catalyst possible, because the crop dusters, they would turn on their crop dusting mechanisms, and then they'd go over the field, but then they'd also go over the river and through the woods, and then come back over the field, and then over the river and through the woods. If we could actually have trained and licensed individuals applying this stuff, I think we would actually have a safer food supply and a safer groundwater supply just by sheer use of less product.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was like the ice cream man. It was just a van, right? A van, but it had like, this was before even Kiss. So this is how old we're talking about.
Yeah.
So this van would be driving through the neighborhood, and this plume of whitish blue smoke would be pouring out the back of it, and we thought it was the greatest thing. Like, we'd be running, chasing after it and stuff. We're like, I don't know how many of us are still alive.
Yeah. Well, you know what's crazy is I don't think they've actually linked the active ingredient itself to a specific death. There's huge controversy here, so I get careful about the stats that I recite, but I do remember that when they declared it a carcinogen, it was one of their problems was lack of legal proof. So now I think it's on a list of possible carcinogens, and there's a huge movement now, especially amongst NGOs worldwide, to try and allow its incorporated use in Southeast Asia and India, because as soon as we outlawed it in the 70s, we sentenced to death millions of children in India. We eradicated malaria in the United States of America because of the widespread use of DDT, but we haven't allowed the international community that same safeguard.
Right.
And so it's actually become kind of an international issue. But yeah, kind of crazy. Dude, so we went from genetically modified mosquitoes flying into your apartment to say hi to the ants that you haven't gotten rid of yet,
Well,
to talking like NGOs in India. This senior hour is kicking, dude.
Well, my daughter and I sit in the backyard. She gets bitten to death by mosquitoes. They don't touch me.
Tell her not to breathe. They follow the carbon dioxide plumes of the breath. Just tell her to hold her breath while she's in the backyard.
Well, she'll come in the house and all of these little red welts all over her legs, and there's nothing on me. They don't touch me.
Yeah, you know what they've
I
seen
don't
about the
understand that.
forgive me if I'm overstepping my bounds here, but have you seen the new videos? Scientists have figured out that the piercing mechanism on the mosquito, we all think it's a needle, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're a doctor,
It
right?
looks like an oil drill. It's like,
and
yeah.
it's not just one straight mechanism.
Yeah, no, it's
Like
grinders.
do you give people injections?
No.
You stay away from that. Okay, cool. Well, we've all had to get blood drawn or injections, right? And so you have a long, hard, straight needle, and that's how you take out blood. So we would kind of think that that's what mosquitoes do, right?
Yeah, no.
They've been able to take like electron microscope style kind of cameras that see an extremely small field of view amplified greatly, and they've been able to watch the piercing mouth part of the mosquitoes puncturing the skin, and like a finger that can bend, it will sense where the blood vessel is, then bend underneath the skin and then tap into it. So it's like it's so small it's hard to study, so they don't know if it's joints. Like my arm, it's a straight arm if I go like this, but now it's a bent U if I go like this, because I got an elbow, I got a wrist, I got, what are they called, phalanges and metacarpals and things like that. Yeah.
Fingers.
So, well, that's just for you erudite English people. But you know what I'm saying? I can bend it like this to reach underneath this desk, right? They've realized that mosquitoes, it's not just this straight puncturing, piercing mouth part. They can kind of feel around underneath your skin until they sense your blood and they suck it. Like an oil drill. It's awesome.
Whoa, that's incredible.
So hold your breath in the backyard.
I'll tell my daughter that.
Yeah, and
Don't
up
breathe.
your B complex too. Enough B complex. Like, you know how when vitamins stink, if you leave them out, if you don't keep them refrigerated and you maybe have them a little too long, you get that really strong chemical, nasty smell from them. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Crickets. Chirp. There is silence in the studio. Okay, so that strong vitamin smell is from one of the B vitamins, right? If it gets even a little bit moist and you have it around for even more than a few days, you start getting this really rank smell off of vitamins, even if they're good quality vitamins.
Oh.
That B vitamin is a strong deterrent to mosquitoes. They can't stand that smell.
Yeah, but do you want to stink as much as those vitamins, dude?
We don't smell. We don't smell like they smell. We can't smell it, but it works. Yeah.
I have to tell you, I was in my office and with my computer, and I have a sliding glass door with a screen door. And I got up from my desk and walked around the desk, and on that screen was the biggest green. I don't know whether it was a grasshopper or what. It was enormous. It was that long.
Did it have arms that looked like little daggers that pointed
Yeah,
down?
well, it did. It looked like this.
Yeah. You know what
I
that
looked
was?
at that. No, I have no idea.
Oh, dude, it was one of those genetically modified mosquitoes that got angry and took steroids. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's not what it was.
I've never seen one.
It's a praying mantis. And they get massive. And when they're green, they're actually still young. When they get older, they'll actually kind of turn beige. Yeah.
This thing was enormous. Like I said, it was at least that long.
Oh, they're pretty cool, huh?
And I thought, holy cow, what on earth? I said, I've never seen one that big.
Well, you're
ever.
too young for this, but one of my favorite sci-fi movies came out in the 50s.
I'm too young for this?
Oh, yeah. You don't remember the 50s? That was way before your time. So one of the greatest
I graduated
movies.
high school in 54.
All right, rock on. Then you remember that date you had with Steve? It was probably to this movie, and it was in black and white, and it was called the Giant Flying Mantis. To this day, it's one of my favorite monster movies. He destroys the North Atlantic military base, and it's actually pretty convincing looking. Second to, I don't know a senior woman that's listening to the show that at one point in her life did not have a crush on Clint Eastwood. So I think it's pretty safe territory here to talk about his first movie appearance, which was, guess what? The Giant Tarantula.
Oh, gee.
Boom. Both of which we have in Santa Clarita.
All right, Cardon, we got to get back to this when we come back from the break. You're listening to Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1 AM 1220, hometownstation.com.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Cardon Ellis of Unipest Control.
Hey, what's
talking about mosquitoes and ants and tarantulas and what else?
Eastwood. I saw you drawing. You were like writing like "I heart Clint" and stuff like that in between the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where?
He was the Justin Bieber of the 1950s, so I don't blame you. You know.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Who the heck is Justin Bieber?
Justin Bieber. He's like Clint Eastwood, but just younger and can sing, with a less prominent Adam's apple. You know.
I never really watched Clint Eastwood.
Really?
No.
Oh, so who was your big actor in the 50s? 60s, 70s? Really?
I've never had no.
Oh, it wasn't Burt Reynolds and the killer stass and the short shorts?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Got the doctor laughing.
No, I've never been interested in movie stars.
Really?
No.
Well, bless you. That's probably why you're well-rounded and have a good, wholesome life.
Well, who knows?
Yeah, what were you interested
But I have had a good life.
Yeah. You a big bookworm? What were you?
I like to read, yes. And I have a birthday coming up on Monday.
Happy birthday.
87.
To Barb.
You go, girl.
87. Isn't that terrific? And I feel great.
Sweet.
I've beaten cancer twice.
Oh, fist bump.
Yes.
Yeah, you go, girl.
In fact, I saw my oncologist yesterday, and he said, "You're really looking good." And he said,
Was
"The
he
blood
hitting
work
on you
is fine."
too?
I'm sorry?
Was he hitting on you too?
Yeah, I told him to back off and get in line, dude. Like, so what's your key to longevity? Is your family just really long-lived?
No,
or
both of my
are you
parents
eating
died.
your smelly vitamin B, or like what's going on?
Well,
That's
I have vitamin B, yes, and regular vitamins that I get from Tom. But both of my parents died when they were 70.
Oh.
And when I turned 70, I was literally scared to death because I thought, they were gone at 70. Am I going to go? And I thought, no, I'm not. But I've always tried to eat healthy and exercise and keep busy. You know,
cool.
I used to volunteer all the time, but since I've started using this monster, it's a result of
She's talking about her walker,
my
not me.
walk.
I like your model there. The blue Medline?
Yeah.
Well,
Did you custom
it's-
paint that thing?
No. It belongs to Jerry and Carl.
We're going
They
to put a
loaned it
flame
to
job
me.
on it.
All right.
Yeah,
I was gonna
they
say
loaned
we
it.
could throw some LED lights on that thing and make you the hippest walker on Main Street when you're going up and down, like with some RGB, like the gamers and their tower desktop computers. You'd fit right in.
But I'm so lucky to have beaten that horrible illness twice, you know? I really am. Because most women my age and men my age are gone if they get cancer.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, taking care of myself, having a positive attitude really helps.
Cool. I'm 100% there with you. What helps
Oh,
keep
yeah.
you thinking positive? Clint Eastwood?
No, my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, which I have 7 great-grandkids now.
Whoa.
The youngest one, I think, she just turned 5 months.
Wow.
My daughter's daughter.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, I was just watching a news report, and I participated in a podcast in which I can't remember if it's James K. Polk was the president. It was one of the presidents that's, you know, not wildly controversial. In our
Yeah,
history,
somewhere
so
in the
you
middle there.
You forget his name. I think it was like the 3rd or 4th president. I'm
Oh, okay.
totally botching my social studies right now.
Yeah, no.
My teacher would be
Those are the
ashamed of me.
founding fathers.
Well, okay, so first there was, Washington, Jefferson. So it had to have been like 4th or 5th, but either way, it was the
Okay.
1700s, right?
Okay.
His grandson is still around
Yes.
Wow.
I
because
saw that
he
same
had
show.
children in his late 60s. And one of them ended up having with a third wife a child in his like late 60s who ended up birthing him, the mother, in like her late 40s or early 50s. So he literally can say like, my grandfather
Right.
was James K. Polk. And there was this cowboy poet that a guy I interviewed met that remembered when Brigham Young in Utah, as the state of, not the state, the territory of Deseret,
Right,
the U.S. Army was coming to invade, and he said, oh, you're not taking this, because they'd already suffered persecution. So he remembered as an 11-year-old boy standing with the torches ready to burn the farmhouse and the city down so the U.S. Army couldn't take it if they invaded. And that was his grandpa in 18 what? 50?
Yeah, right
18?
around.
Like, it's a pre-Civil War?
Before the Civil War, because they wound up making nice. And then Brigham Young sent a whole bunch of his crew over to fight for the Union soldiers that came to oust him because Abraham Lincoln didn't like polygamy too much.
Dude, you know what's kind of crazy? The city of Santa Clarita was part of the state of Deseret.
Yeah,
The borderline was literally
big.
the Santa Monica Mountains down to the Santa Monica Pier. So we don't have like a cartographer that is actually delineated where the line would be, but it's either on the mountains right to the right of Sierra Highway or to the left of like where Stevenson Ranch is. But like,
I've heard that before.
yeah, it's pretty cool, man. You know, so
big. It was big.
yeah, dude. So long before Clint Eastwood, though. You know, because I know it's a big frame of
When was
reference.
he around?
Clint Eastwood? I don't know. What? He's like 50s. He's still here, man. He's still kicking.
Yeah. So what is it? Is it?
Isn't he pushing 90 too?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's Rawhide. I think it's Rawhide that he was originally on TV, and that series is amazing. You want there's for me there's not a lot to watch on TV, but I got so hooked on the old westerns. I never was into westerns because sci-fi was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like early sci-fi.
That's why
was
poor Woody got thrown away, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the westerns too. I watch them on Ion.
And then you see
ION.
the original TV westerns, and like every single week they're putting out
They're
like
awesome.
a movie.
Oh,
These
it was
are
epic.
amazing,
They're
amazing.
incredible.
And then
I
you
love
see
it.
how everybody stole from them. I
Dude,
mean,
have you seen the
every
ones that were filmed here in Santa Clarita?
yeah.
Dude, it's
Oh, yes.
wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't recognize anything, but you know, all the scenery looks familiar. Like all the mountains look familiar. You know, so
Yeah, so I've got this crazy film project that I saw, and I can't give details out yet because I can speak in generalities, but I
Right.
can't speak in details yet.
dish.
But a side gig of mine is, besides doing pest control, which I love and adore very much, I'm actually restoring a first print of Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, sweet.
And I'm also restoring an old 1950s independent kind of insect creature movie monster thing to make some fun,
Yeah.
YouTube
Gives me
content
the
for the channel.
willies.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But
Oh.
check this out. I came across this project that's nuts, and your seniors are going to love this, okay? There is a guy right now in his 90s, okay? He's just enjoying the sunset years of his life, and sitting underneath his bed in another state that's not California, but I'll just tell you, it's east of California. His nephew. I don't want to give away the life story, right? Because we're hopefully going to do a documentary on this and everything like that. But they have discovered there is a man, and I've seen this footage, and it is beautiful. There is a man who, with some of his, it was either his last paycheck or his sign-on bonus money or something, but with some small sum of money before he joined the Air Corps. Because before we had an Air Force, there was no Air Force in World War II, it was the Army Air Corps. He was a volunteer pilot that went over to fight during Blitzkrieg and to fight during the earliest years of World War II. And he took a 16 millimeter camera with him, with a ton of reels of 16 millimeter. Now, this is not
my
propaganda
goodness.
footage. This is not War
Right,
Department
right,
footage.
right.
This is not Screen News Digest footage, right? This is just a private man taking photos of like BF 109s buzzing them, just bullet holes in the side of these planes. They're taking photos of these soldiers' families as they're just carting men that have taken shrapnel and anti-aircraft shells and bullets to the body, just pulling them out of like holes they had to cut in the side of planes because like they crash landed on the fields in Britain. And you see these men get up and smile and it's like,
Yeah.
we survived. And they're able to take the tail numbers from these canisters that were just sitting and rotting underneath his bed because it's very moist in this state that he lives in, right? And we're talking to some seniors, literally like women your age, that are saying, "Oh my gosh, I never knew what my father looked like."
Yeah.
Like we're from a poor family in Kentucky,
right.
and we didn't have a picture of him, and now we knew that he was in plane number N5671 through 3 that disappeared in action somewhere over the French Alps or something like that. But we're like this guy that is in charge of these films is literally able to like reunite families with lost histories of these just brave and valiant men that went over as literally like as virtually volunteers in the earliest years of the war. Now, of course, I'm butchering a bunch of the details and I'm trying to speak in generalities because I don't want to like avoid, break some copyright law. But I mean, that is something I'm working on now. And it is just beautiful. It brings tears to your eyes as you see it.
Yeah,
it's just
and it's
incredible.
great timing because great minds think alike. The next Spielberg-Hanks collaboration is exactly about this.
It's a collab.
Well, they did Band of Brothers, which is outstanding. And they did obviously like things like Saving Private Ryan and Schindler's List and all that stuff. And then they did The Pacific, which was another outstanding. Now the next one that they work together on is exactly about those early airmen and the craziness that they had to deal with in those situations.
Okay, so I got one for you too. Oh,
Okay.
hit it.
No, I was saying, speaking of craziness, I was in Kent during the Second World War, and
Really?
we would stand out in the backyard. The siren would sound to take cover.
Yeah, so Barb, give us an idea of where Kent is in relationship to London.
London is here, and Kent is here.
So it's close.
Yeah, it's close.
It's
So like Santa Clarita is to Los Angeles, as Kent is to
yeah,
London?
that's
Okay.
yeah, something very similar.
Okay.
And we would.
Do they have soccer moms there too?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't been back in a
it's
long,
football
long time.
moms there.
Yeah, football moms.
But as kids, we'd stand out in the backyard because we'd hear this loud buzzing noise and see these buzz bombs with the fire coming out of the back and the buzzing sound. And when the fire stopped and the buzzing stopped, it would just start gliding down, and you never, ever knew where it was going to land. And it was interesting because my mother had my brother in the shelter. We had a shelter about this big, this tall. The top was iron, and we had to get inside it. And it was in the living room because they did away with the outside shelters because they were big domes and you had to go down inside. Well, they figured that was too dangerous. People were getting killed. So my girlfriend, whose name was Edna, she lived up the street, and my mother wouldn't let her go home because the siren sounded and the buzz bomb was out there. So she and I went out the front of the house and saw this thing. I mean, literally, it couldn't have been higher than the roof out here.
Wow.
Coming down, and it it exploded in a field probably about 3 blocks from where our house was. And of course, she and I ran in the house and got into the shelter, and you could hear the shrapnel, these big chunks of iron hitting the streets and hitting the top of the houses all around. This is clunk, clunk. This iron hitting concrete.
Wow, that is hardcore. Have you written all this down?
Oh yes, I have.
Okay.
We had to walk to school with gas masks on.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, we had to wear them. Walking to school.
Man.
We'd have the container on our back and around here, but we had to have the front of it on our face.
Wow, your generation was just tougher and cooler, man. We were so spoiled here.
Well,
I had to get a
it's,
generic lunchbox because I lost my Ninja Turtles lunchbox, and I thought I had it bad at Santa Clarita Elementary. Meanwhile, you're just like straight up toting like an anti-mustard gas mask. Well, actually, mustard gas, that was World War One, but still.
no, it was no.
Phosgene.
From what I remembered as a little girl. Well, we came to the States when I was 10 and a half, and that was in 1947. So I was a little girl when all this was going on.
Wow.
So
We'll talk
Yeah.
more about that when we get back from the break, Barb. You're listening to the Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1 AM, 1220, hometownstation.com.
welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Thomas Polucki, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And we're speaking with Mr. Cardon Ellis from Unipest Control, talking about all kinds of creepy creatures.
Yeah, not just that. You're cool history, man.
Oh.
In Kent, World War II, you're hardcore. With your face mask going to school. That's pretty awesome. Did you personalize them? Like, was it kind of like something where you just got used to it? You had, like, we would bedazzle that nowadays. But did you, like, I don't know, sew any, like, cool little, like, patches on it or anything? Make it cool so it was yours?
No, it was black. That's all I remember. It was black.
Okay.
It had to come around here over your nose and your mouth. And I've always breathed through my mouth, and I always had a hard time with the gas mask because it was centered for your nose.
Yeah. Wow. You're just cool.
Oh,
You're just like, I don't know what to say. I just want you in my entourage because I just feel like you just elevate the vibe wherever you go. I don't know if it's the accent or just how awesome you are or the history you got, but just like, if I met somebody famous, I'd want you to be standing next to me. So the second they heard your accent and how articulate you are, they would just automatically think I was just cool and erudite and smart by association, you know? And
well,
then,
it's interesting. I haven't lost all of my accent. I still use the broad A, can't and fast and that kind of thing.
which is the best part. Don't lose that. That's the best part.
But so many people have said to me, you've been over here for almost 80 years and you haven't lost all your accent? No.
Well, I still
I
say
used to be
cowabunga
teased.
when I'm excited. And like Ninja Turtles stopped broadcasting in the early 90s.
Well, I used to get teased constantly because of my English accent. It was constant. Really was.
Oh, they were just jealous. The only place where I think that an English accent would not be useful is cheerleading. Did you try out for the cheerleading squad in high school
Oh,
or
yes,
something?
I was on a cheerleading squad. I was a cheerleader.
Yeah, that must have been kind of like if I were to say hot, high, that might be a little bit not as cool as like
Well,
heart,
yes, but
heart,
when
high,
you've
right?
got 6 or 7 all shouting at the same time, the voice doesn't come through.
Okay,
The
cool.
accent.
Wait, where were you a cheerleader?
In Needham Broughton High School in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow, you just keep getting cooler and cooler, man. You didn't have you
That
had those
was
big megaphones in the pool suits, right? Yeah, rock. I would die to see a picture of that. Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I do have quite an interesting history. It's
Okay, were you a male
and I
cheerleader,
still
bro?
remember.
You're ripped. Male cheerleaders are always ripped. No?
Yeah, no.
I have an uncle who will remain nameless. That was a mascot that kind of doubled as a male cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? And he was shredded, though. I got to admit, he was shredded. So
That's
yeah,
a
that's
shame.
cool.
That's a shame because there should be guys and gals as cheerleaders. It really should be. Shouldn't be all women all the time.
It's more dangerous than football.
Really?
The cheerleaders are more at higher risk of more serious injuries than the linebackers are because they're small, petite, and being thrown 3 stories in the air, and sometimes they don't get caught. So it's when it
that's
does go
true.
wrong, it goes horribly
Yeah,
wrong.
gravity is brutal.
Yeah. And on that bombshell, this
we
has
have to
been the
think.
Senior Hour, KHTS 98.1 AM 1220, hometownstation.com. We've had Cardon from Unipest here the whole show. Thank you, Cardon.
Yes.
We're sponsored by Providence Holy Cross, Comfort Keepers, and iMac Med Spa. Now go out and enhance your quality of life.